My husband of 50 years was gay. Dorothy Hill learned her husband's secret after he was gone. Harold had died suddenly last winter. A stroke. They had eaten breakfast together in the morning and he collapsed that evening. He was gone 3 days later. Dorothy could not remember how those 3 days had passed. She got through the funeral, the weeks of condolences, and then finally came home and began to go through his things. She opened the drawer, his small private drawer in the bedroom. She had never opened it before. It was his, but now she needed to clear it. Inside she found a bundle of old letters, tied with a piece of string. Several envelopes. She took them out. There was a name on each one. A man's name she did not recognize. She stopped. She looked at the dates. 1975, 1976. Before they were married. She and Harold had married in 1977. She opened one. She began to read. She stopped at the first line. Read it again. It said the same thing. These were love letters. From a man. To Harold. She sat there for a long time. She read them. All of them. One said, I miss you more than I can explain. One said, I keep thinking about the weeks we had together. One said, I know this is wrong and I don't know what to do with that. The last letter was different. Harold, I think we made the right choice in ending this. You go and live your life. I'll live mine, but knowing you is the best thing that ever happened to me. Take care of yourself. She set the last letter down. Her hands were trembling. She looked at the window. She could not see anything. She did not know how long she sat there. She thought 50 years, 1977 to 2026. 3 children, meals together every day, vacations, watching their children grow up. Grandchildren. She had nursed him through illness. He had been beside her through hers. Was all of that a lie? At that thought the tears came hard. Betrayal. That was part of what she felt. Clearly and solidly part of it. But there was more than that. Other things were mixed in. Things she could not yet name. That night she could not sleep. She took the letters out again and read them. She read them several times. And she kept coming back to one question. Why had he not destroyed them? He had kept them in that drawer for 50 years. Tied with string. She could have found them. The children could have found them. But he had not burned them or thrown them away. He could not. She felt that when she read them, what these letters had meant to him, whatever had kept him from destroying them for 50 years, she understood something about the weight of that, even if she could not describe it. Days passed. She called her daughter Susan. Sue, can you come over? Susan came. Dorothy showed her the letters. Susan read them. It took a long time. Her expression changed several times. When she finished she said, Mom. Yes. How are you? Dorothy thought for a moment. I don't know. I'm angry. I'm sad. And then there's something else. Something I keep coming back to. What? I feel sorry for him. Susan looked at her mother. You feel sorry for Dad? Yes. He carried this for 50 years. Without ever telling anyone. Susan's eyes filled. Aren't you angry at him? Yes. But that's not all of it. Dorothy looked at the letters again. Susan, why do you think he never got rid of these? Susan thought. Because he couldn't. Right. He couldn't. For 50 years. So what does that tell you about what it cost him? They were both quiet. Dorothy said, he was wrong not to tell me. I know that. Before we married he should have said something. Or at some point in 50 years he should have found a way. He was wrong. But I also keep thinking about what it must have been like to carry this. In that era, with no language for it. No permission to even understand it. Susan cried. Can you forgive him, Mom? Dorothy was quiet for a moment. I'm not sure forgiveness is the right word. I don't feel like he was a bad person. I feel like he was a person in pain. And, her voice shifted, he was good to me for 50 years. That sentence stayed in the room. Harold had not been a bad husband. He had not had affairs. He was not always warm, but he showed up. When she was sick he was there. When the children needed him he came. He had not abandoned the family or walked away. Those 50 years had existed. They were real. She did not want to undo them. Finding these letters did not erase them. But one thing kept returning to her. How alone he must have been. To carry something about himself that he could not accept. Could not name, could not share. For 50 years. In a time when there was even less room for such things. Bundled with string and shut in a drawer. She tried to think about Harold the way she had never thought about him. Not as her husband, as a person. How lonely, how frightened, how exhausting. She cried again. Different tears this time, not the tears of betrayal. Just grief. Grief for the person he had been carrying inside himself all those years. A month passed. Dorothy tied the letters back together the way they had been. The way Harold had tied them. She put them back in the drawer. She did not throw them away. He had not been able to. Neither could she. These letters were evidence that he had lived. Evidence of something that had been inside him. She could not remove that. Susan came back. Mom, should we tell the boys? Dorothy thought about it. Not yet. I want to sit with this a little longer on my own. Are you all right? It's hard, but something is slowly settling. I can feel it. How? Dorothy looked out the window. Spring. The trees were coming into their green. Harold gave me 50 years. Everything that was in those 50 years is real. The meals and the arguments and making up and raising children and getting old. It was all there. The letters don't take that away. Susan looked at her mother. How will you remember him? Dorothy spoke slowly, as someone who was carrying something heavy and still tried to be good to me. To us. As someone who held his own secret alone until the very end. Like that, she cried, and, a pause, as someone I feel sorry for. Susan held her mother. Dorothy cried for a long time in her daughter's arms. Grief, and something like injustice, and underneath both of them, strangely, a kind of release. Because she understood something about Harold, now that she had not understood before. Knowing it made her sadder. And knowing it made her, in some way she could not completely explain, lighter. She did not know if that was strange. It was just true. Months later Dorothy opened the drawer again. She took out the letters and held them. She said, quietly, to the room. Harold, I read them, all of them. I was angry, very angry, but somehow you're the one I feel sorry for. You held this your whole life. How heavy it must have been. Why couldn't you tell me? The room was quiet, but you were good to me for 50 years. You know that? That you tried, even carrying what you were carrying. I can see that now. She put the letters back in the drawer. Rest now. Put it all down. Everything that was heavy. Spring was bright through the window. She looked at it for a long time. She thought whatever Harold had been holding his whole life, he had put it down now. That was a small comfort. And that she now knew. That she was carrying a piece of it with her too. So he did not have to carry it alone anymore. That was also a comfort. If this story reached you today, life sometimes brings us truths we never expected to face. When that truth is painful and heavy. When betrayal and grief and other things mix together. All of those feelings are real and valid. And inside that truth, the years you lived together do not disappear. The time was real. Please hold on to that. If these stories matter to you, please subscribe. We bring you a new one every week from the places where life quietly asks the most of us.